I went through all of my settings. I like NVIDIA Reflex latency plus boost as well. Custom, this will just give me a little bit more power. Turn this to normal. Very low on particles. Off for most things. I like the bullet impact, so that way you can just see the tracers. If you ever want to shoot a wall, see what the recoil of a gun looks like, show anything off. All of the shadows and everything off. Outside of I do keep this on normal. Everything else I just, turned it all low or off. I also have been playing 120 FOV. I switched this in Warzone 2 to just help with all my close range. This always needs to be affected to just give you that wider spread. Same thing with these. Gives you better vision while you're aiming down sight. Motion blur off, film grain. First person, I switched these to 50% as well. I honestly didn't even notice a difference. I was playing at 100. I just realized that. Now, as for my mouse settings, I tweaked this a bit as well. I'm now playing 4.20 on the mouse sense, and I have relative set to 0.1. Previously, this was set to 0.75 and legacy. The idea behind that is every time I aim down sight, all of my guns were 75% of the main aim turning speed, especially the lower magnification guns. The sniping was still relatively, it's actually, the sniping sensitivity is almost the exact same here, but this doesn't scale it as linearly. If you were to do 0.75 here, it doesn't seem to do it as linear across all the different guns. They still have their own little tweaking relative to it. So I just decided to switch it to 1 to have faster turning with some of the lower powered optics aim down sight and slightly slower on some of the higher ones, and just let it figure it out to where it feels natural for whatever the devs came up with. Feels pretty good so far. The keybinds, I've made a number of changes to this. I like left control for walk. I also set this to moderate speed. I may switch it back to slow. I use my auto move forward with the tilde key up top, dive prone. I like that at Z. Got used to that in other games. So I'll use that to dive, and then C is what I'll use to slide and crouch, as you can see here. I use E to interact as well. I've just been more used to that, and I do F for melee, which I know is very weird for a lot of games. I can deal with it. I also like to have 1 and 2 for next and previous weapon. The previous weapon is in the advanced movement category. Weapon mount, I've always gotten used to it with caps lock. N is my weapon inspect, so I can always hit that while we're on the move. Fire mode is pretty stupid. I have both of these set for it. I actually should probably set one of these to also be another inspect, honestly, so I don't shock myself in a game. Melee, though, F. I like my lethal on my back mouse so that way I can aim while I'm, like, holding it and still be moving if I need to. I also could use my front mouse button, but I use that for my push to talk and toggle muting for Discord. I've gotten very used to that. It would be better for me to use a foot pedal and then, free up one of the most important buttons that you could use right on your thumb there, while you could use it while aiming and doing anything. But that's important to me so I could talk to my teammates if I need to, which obviously doesn't even matter in solos. Q. I also set this back to 4 for armor plating. I don't know if you guys ended up sticking with that as well. Here's that previous button on 1. Changing zoom with H. I don't really ever do that. I don't deal with it too much. I don't use variable optics in general. The rest of this, all pretty normal. I leave ping on middle mouse. That actually would be a good front button, I think. That's what Isaac uses as well, I know. Push to talk, I have T, multiple bound to different things. In the actual gameplay mechanics, this was a big one that I changed up this year. So I don't have automatic sprint on. I know a lot of people do run this, especially for controllers. I like the option to be able to walk. That being said, I did change the tactical sprint behavior to single tap run, which means when I click shift, I will immediately tack sprint. And you could hold down shift in order to sprint and continue that tack sprint without having to let go, re-hold it. If you slide, you do need to let go of shift and then re-push it down and hold that. That will then just allow you to hold shift into infinite. Here's some of my other settings. Nothing too crazy that I've changed. I did also actually change ground mantle, automatic mantle, all of these off, which is a little weird. Jumping through windows is the hardest part now, but I'm not going to accidentally do it at the wrong time with it. I turned to auto depleted weapon swap off, and that is pretty much everything else. So if this helps you out, let me know. Even more, settings and everything you can get into, but that's at least my overview. Enjoy.